Charlie. Mark, 1 Charlie.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm full of optimism.
Einstein's theory of relativity.
We're still seeing it quite well through that haze.
T-minus 37 seconds.
The fight is growing confident.
E equals MC.
That all men are created equal.
About the future innovations.
And growing strength in the air.
Tear down this ready. Head on. Something's happening. Coming up on staging.
This is Finding Your Frequency with your hosts, Jeff Spenard and Ryan Treasure. It's time to speak up, share your voice, and hear from the thought leaders.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Finding Your Frequency right here on the Voice America Variety Channel. We're always just having fun in the studio, trying to bring you guys some really cool content, some stuff to think about, and great guests that are doing great things and finding out how those folks have found their frequency. You know, I find myself a lot of times on LinkedIn and social media sites and, you know, trying to connect with other entrepreneurs or business owners, thought leaders in multiple spaces because we do radio. And I always want to connect with people. I try to go to networking events and meet people. And I always find a challenge where the networking components that we go to always tend to kind of be cliquey and nichey, where one networking group always has the same people there all the time. And then you go to the next one and you meet new people, and you go to the second and the third event and it's still the same people there all the time. And it's very difficult to really decide where you want to put your bandwidth when you're navigating that space. And so I wanted to talk about that and bring on our guest, Kim Marie. Kim is the owner of a really cool company, and she's going to tell a story about how LeTip launched and all the different things and how she got involved with them, and we'll talk about it. So, Kim, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, so let's kind of just take it back a little bit, right? I know that you have a background in banking, and then you kind of moved through and did the LeTip thing, and then ended up owning the place, which is really cool. And I want to hear that story. So let's kind of just start from the beginning. You know, you started off as a banker. How did you transition from banking, find your frequency, and move into your current venture?
Well, I was a business development officer for my bank. I'd been through several mergers. I'd helped buy branches. I've helped decide if people stayed or went. And banking was getting old. I was married for 30 years and suddenly divorced. And I joined LeTip 2 years prior. 1998, I became involved. So this year is 20 years being part of LeTip. It was a networking organization. And my bank said, we don't need another Rotarian, so go try something new. My business attorney in the chapter at the time was a friend of mine, and he asked me every week for 6 months, and I never attended. But it was always about him, what was going on with him, who was there, didn't interest me. The auto repair guy was in the chapter, and I went to have the oil changed in my car, and he comes running outside, and he says, Kim Marie, you're the new banker in town, right? And I said, yes. He said, I belong to a professional group, and we'd love to put dollars in your pocket. Would you like to see how? No-brainer, right?
No-brainer, yeah.
So I joined the same day that I went. The very next day I attended. I put in my application. That's another long story, but I was there for 2 years, and I was doing really well. The first 7 months, I was almost fired 7 times, and I almost quit 7 times, LeTip and my job. So I said, you know what, I'm not a quitter. I got to figure out what's going on here. So I started really reading everything I could get my hands on. There was not another group around us for a 300 square mile radius. So I couldn't go visit and find out what it was, but I could read. And I picked up the phone and I called people, and I really started to learn quickly how to make this work. I was a commissioned banker, and I made $50,000 in 5 months on a 2% commission from the people in the group. That didn't include my salary or other outside commission.
That's not too bad.
No. Second year was 130. So the owner came to me and started bugging me to go to work for him. And I kept telling his office manager no, because he'd want me for an interview Monday through Thursday. I have integrity. I'm not going to tell my boss I'm going to look for another job.
Right.
So he died, the owner, on the golf course, and they came out and defibrillated him and brought him back. He came in and fired the office manager and called me and said, "Hey, why aren't you coming in for an interview?" I explained. The next day I had an overnight ticket in my hand to meet him in San Diego on Sunday. Got on the plane, went down to meet him, was very interested in the job, even though I wasn't really looking for a job. I just loved what he presented as the vision of the company. 45 minutes later, he offered me the position, and I told him that there were conditions. And he said, "Excuse me?" I said, "Well, if you want to work with me, then you have to meet these conditions."
Right. We got to set some. Harry and I, we did a show just about some of those things. We talked about, setting those personal space boundaries and having boundaries in business and making sure that you're upfront about those, so that way you can move those relationships on properly, so you're not trying to deal with that stuff on the fly.
Absolutely. So I asked him why he wasn't hiring me as his company president. He was without one at the time. He laughed. He said, "You don't know anything about LeTip." I said, "I've been a member 2 years. What is there to know?" He was totally right. But I told him that I would take the position of regional director in Arizona. He relocated me here, but I told him that I'm only taking the job if you understand that I am going to be your company president in 5 years, and I'm going to own your business after that. Are you good? He laughed. 4.5 years later, I became the company president. That was 2005. I relocated back to San Diego for 3 years, and in 2008, I was tired of San Diego. So I bought the company from him, and I relocated world headquarters here in Mesa, Arizona. And the rest is history.
That's awesome. Awesome. That's funny. We have an interesting kind of synergy. So this year, Voice America is 20 years old. We launched online in 1999. So, big for us, because in 1999, you had the dot-com boom and the bomb that kind of happened a couple of years after that. And we survived all of that. And here we are still today. And it's kind of funny. I remember Steve Jobs when he came out with, the pod devices and iTunes and some of that. And he said, "Wow, we'll be able to listen to these things called podcasts. If you go to the iTunes store, there's 3,000 of them, and now there's 780,000 podcasts." And our industry, and I'm sure as yours also, has just exponentially grown. Like when we first started in '99 and we're doing internet radio, like people understood radio, they didn't understand MP3 files on demand, right? And the word podcast didn't exist, and so we didn't even get any notoriety of who we were or what we did until like 2007. We were in San Diego at the time too. We were publicly traded. And we went through a process where in 2009, the iRadio president was like, "I'm done with all this madness of, Securities and Exchange Commission and minutes and board of directors and all of the things that you have to be public." And so he did kind of that. He's like, "I've been here for, all these years. I don't even own the company that I founded and bought out the internet radio division." And so we've been operating now for the last, almost 10 years underneath that auspice. So it's just kind of crazy how the synergy happened, where we're all 20 years and all that. So that's just a wonderful story. Wonderful.
I'm really lucky because I've been there half as long as the company. It's 41 years old.
Wow, yeah.
So we were the first. We are the gold standard in the industry for networking. There was no other professional networking organization out there that was nationwide.
So you probably know a lot of the local networking groups then too, right? Keeping track of your competition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we go to quite a few events with a newer networking group called Network Together, which is, they have a couple of different chapters. They've been pretty cool. So, and that's what I wanted to talk about, right? Because I think in the beginning when I started the show, it was under the auspice and question of, right, when you connect with people and you're doing networking and you have all these different ways of networking, whether it's, like LinkedIn or in person. And I, as you say, rather enjoy the in-person because I like to look at somebody in the eyes. I like to make jokes. I like to see them laugh. I like to interact with somebody. And context gets lost in text, right? And so I really like that face-to-face component. So how do you guys give your members like a different approach to the networking that allows them to not have that problem, like I said earlier, where you just keep finding yourself around the same people all the time?
Well, I don't know that we've fixed the problem. We're probably the ones that created that method or that structure. We do meet once a week for an hour and a half, and we build solid relationships. Mm-hmm. It becomes a family. We tell people there are 5 reasons to join. 1, it's dollars in your pocket. If you're here for any other reason, it's the wrong reason. We've got to grow your business.
Yeah.
2, you become a better public speaker. Most people are never in front of anyone to learn how to speak.
True.
The 3rd reason is loyalty, doing business with each other, passing that around the country, not just keeping it within. fun. The fourth reason is you become a referral source for your clientele. When you know a lot of people and you share that with other people, they're going to come back to you often because they trust you, like you, and they're going to like the people in your group. The fifth reason is psychic income, just the warm feeling you get for helping somebody else grow their business. We have a set structure that really works. They do meet for an hour and a half each week, but it's on a quarterly program, so every week is different. When you come in and you say the same people are there, it might be that you're not building the relationship, because as they start speaking and sharing, showboating like a trade show display, so you can visually see their business, they greet you, then they speak once every so often, they get a 10-minute speech. It's practice in honing what your business is all about and how you present to the world. That's not getting old, but we also have LeTip wired. No other organization has ever connected all of their members so that they have a private network just of themselves. Attorneys came to me about 10 years ago and said, we don't have a national organization where we can connect. How could we connect through you? All of our people now can connect with each other. Telephone, phone number, email, private messaging through our portal called LeTip Wired. What's really cool about it is when you put your picture and your profile and a 30-second video on that, it ports over to letip.com where the world can find you. My whole goal is to give people business from the outside that they can't normally get in a chapter as much.
Right.
So if you've heard of Angie's List, Angie, watch out, I'm after you. Because you're good there because you pay more money to be rated. Our members are vetted. So they follow our core values.
Angie's List spends a ton of money on pay-per-click advertising.
Absolutely.
It's insane.
So if you knew that I knew a lot of people that were really quality, and I told you, hey, you need an attorney, go here and find one. You go, you see their picture, their profile, a video. Wouldn't you want to use them?
Yeah, like if you need to do a radio show or a podcast to get your message out there, you would call Voice America.
Absolutely.
That's what we do.
So we haven't changed it.
We'll have to figure out how we can all work together then. This is interesting because, we have a stable of really high-profile professionals that could probably use the service of being, in networking with LeTip, with other ones. And I think it would also probably be a great resource for, finding guests for radio shows as well, too. I think that would be interesting. So something for us to explore, I think, maybe off air. But
I want you to know that I'm trying to help and bring more all the time because I really believe in small business. It's the backbone of America, and without it, we change. So I'm really working hard to keep that. I became a certified licensed bank trainer. Most of the time when we're talking to each other, we can't understand where you're coming from. So if I'm an action person, that means that I think quick, I make quick decisions. They're not always great decisions, but that's who I am. I like nice things. I wear jewelry. That's just my personality. I love to have fun. So it's important when I'm talking to my son, who's a knowledge, that's the K in bank, he takes a long time. He wants to be an expert at everything. He's going to read every line. He's going to know it immediately. So he thinks action people are off the wall. I became certified so I could work with people to teach them how to be respectful for each kind and understand their own. So when they're presenting, they have to present in a way. Let's say he's a nurturer. I don't know anything about him. I would think he's a knowledge because of his age and being in this business. But if you're talking to him and you're talking in a knowledge language, all of a sudden he says, she's not so bad. She's an old lady, but she's not so bad. She's got some things going on. So I think we really have to learn how to be more respectful to each other and understand how we give business.
Yeah, I think that's a really good auspice because, I've done a bunch of stuff with like NLP, and one of the things with NLP too is like, which would be similar to like pacing, right? So pacing is understanding the type of person that you're talking to, so that way you can talk to them in the same, manner. What are you, Harry? Are you knowledge?
Oh, I have cards in the car. We're going to check you out when this is done.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm totally action. 100% action. I can't stop moving. I can't sit still. My wife, totally knowledge, right? When I think that's why we get along so well, because it's like yin and yang, so it works very well.
That's my husband and I, complete opposites. I'm action nurturing. I do everything because it's a purpose, because I want to help, and et cetera. He's blueprint. Knowledge. So it has to be in order. It has to be tidy.
Is there a such thing as action blueprint?
Yes.
So that's probably me, right? Because I'm not so nurturing, but I'm like, I got to go get stuff done, but it has to be all structured, in the way. So that's interesting.
So bringing it back to
Yeah.
networking, now you see the importance of people understanding. They could take a Briggs-Myers, they could do NLP, but it's very costly. It takes a lot of time. With mine, it's a 90-second little quiz. You get online, you take it very fast. I'll encourage even your listeners to do that. You go to
I love doing this.
mybankcode.com/LeTip. LETIP. What happens is you get 6 pages of information about the organization and then 6 pages on a report about your personality.
All right, let's say that URL for the audience again.
Would be www.mybankcode.com/LeTip. LETIP. Otherwise, they charge you for it.
That's mybankcode.com/LeTip, LETIP. So for those of you who are tuning in, Harry's associate producer of the show has been helping out here during the summer. He's going back to school on August 15th. I'm going to miss him. He's been a great help for the summer, booking guests and such. All right, so here we are. Crack your personality code in 90 seconds or less. All right, step number 1, we got to read the cards. So walk me through that.
You read the values on the back of the cards, and you place the card that has the most value on the top.
Mm-hmm.
You put it in the left-hand position. The second most important, the third, and then the last one that is nothing like you.
All right, so let's go through this. So blueprint is stability, structure, systems, planning, process, predictability, responsibility, duty, roles, credentials, titles, tradition. All right, and then we have action, which is freedom, flexibility, spontaneity, action, opportunity, excitement, attention, stimulation, competition, winning, fun, image, values, relationships, authenticity, personal growth, significance, teamwork, involvement, community, charity, ethics, harmony, morality, contribution, and then values, which is learning, intelligence, logic, self-mastery, technology, research and development, science, universal truths, expertise, competence, accuracy, and the big picture.
It's really interesting in business when people can come in, a boss can do this, and you understand where he's coming from. If he's opposite from you, you're probably not getting along. You already said that you're blueprint for your number 2. He's blueprint number 1. Of course you're going to get along.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say on mine, I'm probably like blueprint, action, and the green one with technology, right? And then probably nurturing's probably on the far end of my scale.
Which is fine, but you will be nurturing sometime. It's not your strongest suit. And on your third color, it's what you go to with you when you have stress. So I'm action, nurture, and then blueprint. When I get upset, I go in and I straighten everything. I put everything away where it needs to be. That's my blueprint coming out. And it only comes out when I'm really stressed about something.
Yeah, see, and I'll sequester myself away and start reading or going online and learning stuff. It's kind of how I deal with stress.
So that's what I'm bringing to networking that most people don't have.
That's
because
awesome.
It doesn't cost much. It's, if anything, when you get to understand what it is, you start speaking respectfully. So we wear name badges and they have little dots on there so you know immediately what the color of someone is. I encourage people to really look into this. Call me. You can put my phone number on there. It's all about understanding how to speak respectfully to people, and you get 10 times more.
Right. Let's address one thing in networking that, I've specifically found. Sometimes when doing networking, right, you say the number one reason is you want to put money in your pocket, right? And so that means I have products, goods, and services as a person at this networking event or part of a networking group. And so ultimately, yes, I want to connect with all of these folks because I would love for them to be customers of mine. Secondarily, there may be some services that they provide that could reduce overhead or such for my business. And so what I've found sometimes is when we've been at events, we've been to specific events several times, and we've done business with other people, but it's never been reciprocated. It's always been like, oh, we want to do something, but and then it never happens. And then for us, that's when you get to the point where I go, all right, well, I don't want to come to these events anymore, because I'm not putting money in my pockets. I'm just coming here and giving other people business, or in some cases going to places and getting your clients poached by other people is also an issue sometimes in the networking circle. How do you guys manage that aspect of the networking, or provide tools to make it to where that isn't such an issue?
A lot of times you're going to have that if it's not a structured weekly meeting. When you just go and visit, that's all you get. You go and you visit.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you can get into something where you can be there continually. And in our organization, there's no competition.
Right.
We want just you. You build that relationship. You mentioned that you'd like to go out there and have all of them use your services. Mm-hmm. But better yet, wouldn't you like to tell them who you'd like to be introduced to, because you never know who they know.
Right.
So once they get to know what you do, how your advertising works, how it can help promote businesses, they should be wanting to try it themselves, and then they're going to be introducing you to the types of people that you want. It's amazing to find out who knows whom and how it can help them.
So would it be kind of faux pas for a networking group to be like, oh, hey, I'm going to invite you to become part of our networking group, but oh, hey, also bring any of your customers that you want to the networking event also?
We invite people to come to events, but we don't invite you to bring people to our chapter unless it's a power partner.
Okay.
We want you to invite people who can help you grow. So when we get into a chapter, we start with whomever wants to start. But I teach them, go out and find 4 power partners for yourself, 2 to give to and 2 to get from. And when you have those 4 people in there, now you're seeing business growing. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think that just because they come and I'm in the group and you're in the group and I use your services, you use mine, that my business is growing. No, it's like kissing or swapping spit. We're not trading. We're just trading dollars, right?
Right.
Your business isn't growing and neither is mine. So when you tell me this is who I need and I go out and find you that outside business, which in LeTip we expect to be 80% outside business,
right,
then your business starts to grow.
Yeah, see, and I love the way that you frame that. Again, can you tell I've had some bad experiences at networking things? Yeah, some. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say bad, just not the outcome that I expected. You put in this effort and you expect some kind of outcome to be positive that comes out of it, and it wasn't positive or negative. It was just neutral, which to me, as a business person, neutral's not good enough. No. It's got to be plus or why are we doing it?
Absolutely, and it has to feel right. There are a lot of chapters out there. We have hundreds of them and thousands of members. You walk into a chapter that is cliquey, closed off, doesn't make you feel welcome. Who would want to join? We're all about the family atmosphere. Come in. We're all going to greet you. We want to get to know you. That's really the best way to do it.
So how does one go about becoming a member of LeTip? Where do we find out about the information and companies and all that stuff? Where do we go?
Well, here in Arizona, you would go to LeTip.com. That's our portal for anybody in the world to look at. You can pull up a chapter name or Arizona, and all the little flags where we have chapters would be there.
How many members do you have in Arizona?
Not enough.
Okay.
About almost 200.
Okay.
But we had 800 at one time, and I took off and became the president of the company, and things just changed.
You had to go deal with June gloom in San Diego.
Oh, it is. I hated living there, I have to tell you. 3 years, I hated it.
Yeah, we lived over there for a little while, too. And I'm from Phoenix, so it was cool that the beach was there and all that, but I'm like, I can't even put up with that. The beach is not cool enough for me to deal with a whole month of gloominess.
Absolutely. We're on the same page with that one. Plus, the pricing is ridiculous. I love Arizona. I'll never go back to California. I'm a native of San Francisco Bay Area. I lived in the 4th house from the top on Lombard Street.
Oh, love it.
And then my parents moved me to the Central Valley where I finished school.
Okay.
Farming community. I actually spoke fluent Armenian and Japanese growing up.
Awesome. Yeah.
Can't do it anymore.
I really like that part of California, like to go visit and to go hang out. Our chief technology officer is in San Francisco. And then I had always told myself, I can't remember the town. It's just over the bridge. And it's kind of like a horse property community, Martinez, right? So I had always told my wife, like, if we hit the lottery, right, and we can just go do whatever we want. I was like, I want to get a house in Martinez, because it's close to the water. You can still have a boat and all that fun stuff.
I want to be in Santa Cruz,
No.
Felton area.
That's nice.
Redwoods, and then run down to the beach, right?
Yeah, I have a really good friend of mine who lives up north in Eureka, California, and he lives right on the coast in a place called Salmon Wharf. Mm-hmm. And so when you walk out on his balcony, it's literally on the beach.
Nice.
And so that one is also up there in my book. And that one, yeah, if you go a little bit east from the coast there, then yeah, you end up with Fern Gully and the whole redwood forest and all that. It's a beautiful area.
So understand, as a banker, I watch numbers, right? Mm-hmm. In 2008, I bought the company in January, and we hit bottom in June. Mm-hmm. It was tough. We lost a lot of small businesses at that time.
I bought my house in July of 2008, just before the housing portion went wonky.
Yeah.
I bought the house, and I think 2 months later, in August or September, I looked at Zillow, mm-hmm. and I was like, "What is going on here?" And my house was worth like $50,000. Yeah, that was scary.
It was. So that was part of why I'm really passionate about it. People say, "Why did you buy the company? Who are you to buy the company?" Because it wasn't cheap. But I got the owner to actually carry the papers, and I said, I'm going to do this to give it back to the members, to help small business. So when this happens again, and it's coming, mm-hmm. Not gloom and doom and gloom, whatever, not gloom and doom, but it's going to come. And when we hit the wall, I think the people that'll be remaining in business are those who are connected. So the big purpose that I have is to connect small business everywhere. And that's really important, too, to governments, to the federal government, to the state government, when we can sit down and say, look, this is the economic impact we've had on this area. Now they start paying attention, and maybe they're starting to give us tax breaks, things that will help. So it's really all about small business. The unfortunate part is a lot of people like you have had a bad experience. They come in, they don't know how to do it. So I do training. I'm a corporate trainer from way back. I do the training myself for our new members 4 times a month that teaches them in the first 60 days how to really get in and make it work for them, so they're making money right away.
Yeah.
You don't go in and expect to take it. You have to give before it happens, but there are ways to do it so that people will give back to you, or introduce you to people you want to be introduced to, et cetera, much quicker.
Yeah, that was one of the things I did like about going to some of the networking things. Is I've been on a couple of different panels, in front of other networkers, and it is kind of fun. And I felt like that was my give back, was being on the panel, being able to allow them to, because there's a lot of stuff in our business where I don't talk about certain things because I'm not going to give you our secret sauce, right? But at the same time, I want to be able to gift you enough knowledge that you can still be happy with the answer that I'm giving you, but not giving you the secret sauce. And so that's like the most challenging thing with media, because everybody thinks, oh, well, I can just do a podcast on my own and it's no big deal. And they don't realize that it's one thing to do a podcast as a hobby or a radio show as a hobby. It's a whole other animal to do it. And like if you're an author, or if you're a speaker and you need to sell more books, or you need to get more speaking engagements, and people don't realize like the effort that goes into the other components. It's not just like what we're doing right now, like we're having this interview. That's that's just the part that the listeners hear and they see, right? And I think networking is like that too. It's not just you go to the events. There's a lot of legwork, a lot of different things that you have to put in. And I think that's part of what scares people off about both sides of it is, just knowing, oh, there's more work I have to do. And so being able to outline what that is in a manner that's palatable for somebody is probably, for our industry and yours, probably the hardest thing to get people to digest.
Absolutely. It's network for a reason. We don't call it net play, but most people don't know how to make it work. They come in, they want to throw up all over you with the information that they have and expect everything to fall in their lap. That was me the first 7 months. That's why I almost got fired 7 times. Why I almost quit 7 times. But I finally figured it out. And when I did, I thought this was really an unusual organization. I hadn't seen anything like it. We have competition out there. There are a couple companies that are a lot of smaller little groups that have taken our model and used it. Mm-hmm. It's illegal. It's immoral. It's wrong. Do I sue them and go after them? No, because for me, it's all about people being together to make this work. So we're a really generous company. We're not out there to hurt anybody. We really want them to grow. We want their business to be what they want it to be. And we want to be all over the U.S. We want to be in all 50 states eventually. even though they think they don't need us. We go according to population, and sometimes that's difficult. So we started a group in South Dakota. It lasted 2 years and then kind of melted away. It wasn't that they didn't need us, it's the leadership at the top. Unfortunately, we don't have the leaders sometimes that we need. So if you walk in and it doesn't feel good, you're not coming back and you're not staying. It's all about building that credibility with each other and having integrity to take care of your client, because it's my reputation on the line or yours.
Right.
If you're giving me business, it's your reputation, not mine. I could mess it up, but you're going to come back and say, I'm not giving you business again.
Yeah.
So it's really understanding that and trusting the people that you work with.
Well, Kim, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about LeTip and telling us the story of how you ended up purchasing the company. That's just really cool. I definitely love hearing, those frequency stories, because, you had a mission in mind from the get-go, and, you followed that frequency, your passion. And, one of the things that's in our promo is, stepping outside of your comfort zone and summoning the intestinal fortitude to get out there and do something different, try, and I think that's what you've done, and I appreciate you jumping on the show and telling us your story.
Thank you so much.
You guys go to LeTip.com, LeTip.com, find out more about how their networking services can help you. They have a cool spot too, LeTip.com, find member, and of course check out their new exclusive online portal that is available as of July 22nd, and so go check